Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Always fun to dig into some new material.
You know it, and today we've got a tough one, but an important one.
Yeah.
The story of Hudson Meek,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
a young actor who recently passed away just 16 years old.
Far too young.
Way too young. So we're going to be taking a look at his life and career,
Okay.
piecing together everything we can from sources like his IMDb page,
Right.
Wikipedia entry,
Mhm.
and some of the recent news articles that were published, after his passing.
Hmm.
Really try to get a sense of, what made this young man so special.
Yeah. It's always fascinating to see how those different sources end up kind of painting a picture of somebody.
Right.
You have just the hard facts of the filmography on IMDb,
Yeah.
then Wikipedia trying to add a little bit more narrative to it, and then, of course, the news articles trying to grapple with this, sudden loss.
Yeah. And so much potential, too, it seems like.
Right.
So much potential. So let's start at the beginning. Hudson Meek was born in Alabama in 2008,
Okay.
grew up in Vestavia Hills, just outside of Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
And both IMDb and Wikipedia note that he actually started acting pretty early on,
Right.
alongside his brother Tucker Meek.
It's almost like one of those classic Hollywood cliches,
Right.
two brothers broken into the business together.
Right.
But you look at that IMDb page and you realize this wasn't just some childhood hobby.
No.
I mean, his first role listed is a Lifetime movie from way back in 2014.
Yeah.
But then things really seemed to take off a few years later.
Yeah. In 2017, he lands a role in Baby Driver,
Oh, wow.
playing the younger version of the lead character.
That's a big thing.
That's huge, especially at that age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To have that on your resume.
Right. And it makes you wonder, was he deliberately seeking out these dramatic roles, or was it just a lucky break,
Mm-hmm.
Either way, it shows like a willingness to kind of push himself beyond just typical child actor roles.
Right. And he doesn't stop there. Parts on TV shows like MacGyver Found and even Legacies.
Wow.
But on top of all of that, he's doing voice work.
Oh, wow.
We see things like Badanamu Stories,
Mm.
even commercials for companies like Toys R Us and McDonald's.
Talk about range. That's incredible.
Yeah.
For somebody who wasn't even out of high school yet.
No.
It really makes that early success even more impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, a little bittersweet, considering what happened.
Yeah. And speaking of which,
Okay.
his last film, The School Duel, is listed on IMDb
Right.
with a 9.0 rating,
Ooh.
which is incredibly rare.
Yeah. How do those ratings even work? I mean,
Well, they're based on user reviews, so I think a 9.0 really suggests just overwhelming positive feedback
right. Yeah.
from those who've seen it. I mean, most films hover around like a 6 or a 7.
Right.
So 9.0 puts it in a very special category.
Like winning a popularity contest amongst film buffs.
For sure. And it's
Yeah.
makes you appreciate this film even more, knowing it was one of his final projects.
Yeah.
And actually, what makes it even a little more tragic, I think, is that he finished filming The School Duel before his passing.
Oh, wow.
So it is a performance that we can all still look forward to.
It's like a final gift to his fans.
You know?
A chance to see that talent shine one last time.
Exactly. And then, speaking about what happened,
Yeah.
it seems like all of our sources today kind of agree on this timeline, December 19th, 2024.
Okay.
Hudson fell from a moving vehicle in Vestavia Hills.
Oh, gosh.
And sadly, after being rushed to the hospital with severe injuries, passed away 2 days later.
It's just a horrific accident. And you know what makes it even more unsettling is that the circumstances surrounding the fall are still under investigation.
Right. Some of these articles I was reading, they really honed in on that lack of clarity.
Yeah.
We don't know if it was just, a freak accident, a misjudgment on his part, or something else entirely.
It's tough.
It's a heartbreaking mystery that just adds another layer of complexity to this already tragic situation.
It's a reminder that sometimes, even with all the information in the world, we're left with more questions than answers.
Yeah.
And in a case like this, it feels especially unfair given, how young he was and all the potential that he had.
Absolutely.
It's hard to imagine what his family must be going through,
Yeah.
grappling with this sudden loss and all the unanswered questions.
Absolutely. And while, those investigations run their course, we can kind of shift our focus to, who Hudson was beyond those headlines.
Right.
The person beyond the accident.
Mm-hmm.
And the sources we're looking at today really paint a picture of someone who lived a very full life, even in his short 16 years.
He wasn't just an actor, that's for sure.
Wow.
He was a sophomore at Vestavia Hills High School, played on the football team, was in the choir, even involved in student government.
Wow.
And this detail from his obituary really stood out to me.
Yeah.
He was part of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
It seems like he was trying to do it all.
Yeah.
And excel at everything, too. Which I guess makes sense when you consider his passion for travel.
Okay.
I mean, how many 16-year-olds can say they've been to all 50 states?
Not many.
And on top of that, he was aiming to visit all 7 continents.
That's incredible.
That's amazing.
It's pretty remarkable.
It really is. And that adventurous spirit, it really shines through in a lot of these sources.
Mm-hmm.
He was an avid skier, the kind who wasn't afraid of challenging slopes.
Right.
Loved spending time at the lake, enjoyed water sports like tubing and wakeboarding.
Yeah, it's like he was drawn to anything that got his adrenaline pumping.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, what drove that need for excitement, that desire to kind of constantly push himself further?
Mm-hmm.
Was that something that he brought to his acting roles?
Possibly.
That intensity, that fearlessness.
It's definitely possible. Maybe those physically demanding activities helped him tap into a certain emotional depth
Yeah.
that he could then bring to his performances.
And it wasn't all just about the thrills either. Several sources highlighted his sense of humor,
Right.
described him as someone who just loved to make people laugh.
That's nice to hear.
And I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
A young man who really just embraced life fully, whether it's on a set,
Right.
on a ski slope,
Yeah.
or just hanging out with friends.
And, those lighter, more personal details, they
Yes.
really add another dimension
Yeah.
to the picture we're building here,
Yeah.
He wasn't just this rising star. He was also a friend, a teammate, a classmate,
Right.
someone who brought joy to those around him.
Exactly. And speaking of bringing joy, there's one more detail I think we need to talk about.
Okay.
His decision to be an organ donor.
Wow.
That's a pretty profound choice for someone so young.
It really is. It suggests a deep level of empathy and selflessness.
Yeah.
A willingness to think about others even in the face of his own mortality.
It's amazing.
It's a testament to his character, and it's something that his family finds solace in, knowing that even in his passing, he's able to help others.
It's hard to wrap your head around such a loss,
Yeah.
especially when you consider all the potential that he had.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about the school duel,
Right.
but there's another film listed on his IMDb page, Genius,
Okay.
slated for a 2025 release.
Wow.
He's credited as playing a character named Arnold.
It's bittersweet to think that even though his life was cut short,
Mhm.
his work will continue to reach audiences for years to come.
For sure.
It's like a part of him will live on through those performances.
It makes you want to go back and watch all of his films, all his shows, just see the evolution of his talent,
Right.
the choices he made as an actor.
Absolutely. And who knows what other projects he might have taken, on what directors he might have worked with.
Right.
It's impossible not to speculate about what could have been.
And yet at the same time, there's this sense of gratitude
Yeah.
for what he did accomplish,
Right.
for the mark that he made in such a short time.
I think that's a natural response to a story like this.
Yeah.
We grieve for the potential lost,
Mhm.
but we also celebrate the life that was lived, however brief it may have been.
So where do we go from here?
That's a good question.
We've explored his career, his passions, the tragic circumstances of his death,
Right.
and this incredible act of generosity that will likely save lives.
Mm-hmm.
What does it all mean?
Yeah.
For us, for those trying to make sense of such a loss, it's a question that kind of lingers, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How do we make sense of a life cut so short, a story unfinished?
Right.
And I keep thinking about what you said earlier, about celebrating the life that was lived.
Yeah.
It feels almost too simple, but maybe that's the point.
I think there's a lot of truth in simplicity, especially when dealing with something as complex as grief.
Yeah.
We can get so caught up in those what ifs and whys
Right.
that we forget to just appreciate the beauty of what was.
Mhm.
And in Hudson's case, there's a lot to appreciate.
We've talked about his talent, his drive, his adventurous spirit,
Yeah.
but there's this recurring theme of kindness too,
Yeah.
of just genuine connection.
Right.
The news articles are full of stories from people whose lives he touched.
Oh, wow.
Classmates, teachers, even people he'd only met briefly on set.
That's great.
Yeah, this is one anecdote that really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah.
A former teacher of his recounted how Hudson would always take the time to help, younger students
Yeah.
who were struggling with their lines in the school play. He wasn't just talented. He was willing to share that talent,
Right.
to lift others up,
It's like he understood that success wasn't just about personal achievement. It
Yeah.
was about making a positive impact on the world around you.
And he did make an impact.
He did.
We see it in, just the outpouring of grief from his community,
Yeah.
the tributes from fellow actors, just the sheer number of people who felt compelled to share their stories about him.
That says a lot.
And then on top of all of that,
Yeah.
his final act of generosity, the decision to be an organ donor.
Right.
It's almost like he was determined to keep giving even after he was gone.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah, a powerful legacy to leave behind.
Yeah. To know that even in death, he's potentially saving lives,
Right.
offering hope to others.
It adds another layer of meaning to his story.
It does.
This reminder that even in tragedy,
Yeah.
there can be profound beauty and selflessness.
Absolutely.
So as we reach the end of this deep dive,
Okay.
I'm left with this question. How will Hudson Meek be remembered?
That is the question.
Will it be for his promising acting career, his infectious smile,
Right.
his love for adventure, or his final act of giving?
I think it'll be all of those things
Yeah.
woven together to create a tapestry of memories, a testament to a life lived fully, even if it was cut short.
Yeah, he was a shining example of the power of human connection,
Absolutely.
the impact we can have on each other through kindness, compassion, and a willingness to embrace life's every moment.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And listener, as you reflect on Hudson's story,
Yeah.
what resonates most with you?
Yeah.
What will you carry forward from this exploration of his life and legacy? Perhaps it's a renewed appreciation for the preciousness of time,
Right.
a commitment to living more authentically, or a simple reminder to just be kind to those around you.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, let it inspire you. Let it guide you, and let it remind you of the enduring power of the human spirit.
Well said.
This is the Deep Dive signing off.